From the streets of Brooklyn to achieving boxing stardom, here's a look at Mike Tyson's lasting impact on boxing and pop culture. Born in Brooklyn, New York in 1966, Mike Tyson had it rough growing up. He was poor and always surrounded by violence and crime. His dad wasn't around much, and his mom had her own problems with addiction. To top it off, he was always getting in trouble with the law. By the time he was 13, he had already been arrested 38 times. But then, Tyson met his ultimate hero, D'Amato, who became like a father to him and helped him turn his whole life around. D'Amato was more than just a mentor. He saw Tyson's potential and believed in him. With D'Amato's expert guidance, Tyson unleashed his raw talent and aggressive spirit in the boxing ring, and the Tyson style was born. When you hear the words Tyson style, you know you're in for a show. It's a mix of speed, power, and cunning that only Iron Mike himself could pull off. His fists moved so fast, it's like he was throwing lightning bolts. And when they connected with his opponent's faces, it was like watching a thunderstorm hit. But it wasn't just his physical strength that made Tyson a legend. He had a sixth sense for boxing, an instinct that told him exactly where his opponent would be before they even got there. That's what made him so hard to beat. No matter what you did, he was always one step ahead. And let's talk about that stance. Instead of the traditional high guard, Tyson kept his gloves way higher, almost at his eyes. It was a daring move, but it paid off big time. With his quick head movement, he could slip punches and bob and weave like nobody else. His opponents never knew what hit them. But here's the thing, Tyson didn't just win fights, he dominated them. He knocked out opponents left and right, and he did it with style. The Tyson style wasn't just a boxing technique, it was a work of art, a masterpiece of brute force and finesse, and nobody did it better than Iron Mike. And for this reason, Mike Tyson's fights were never boring. They were either good, bad, or downright ugly. Let's start with the good. And let me tell you this, when Iron Mike stepped into the ring, people knew something special was about to happen. His early fights were absolute knockouts.
Tyson does not throw wild punches.
Big left hook.
I'm talking 19 straight victories by a knockout. And not just any knockout. We're talking first round, second round, sometimes third round. He'd have his opponents down for the count.
If he stops throwing, he'll be dead.
Looks like he's in slow motion. He can't get off two punches. I mean, that is
His power and speed were unmatched. It was like he was on another level, a different breed of boxer altogether. But let's be real, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for Iron Mike. One of the worst moments in his career was that infamous rematch against Evander Holyfield. In the third round, things got heated. So heated that Tyson bit off a chunk of Holyfield's ear. It caused a major uproar in the boxing world, and the man got suspended and slapped with a $3 million fine. Not to mention, it wasn't great for his reputation either. Let's just say it wasn't one of his shining moments in the ring. And then there was the fight against Buster Douglas. You could see it in Tyson's eyes.
A lot of credit to Buster Douglas for making this a big fight.
He was cocky, overconfident, and thought he had this fight in the bag. But Douglas had other plans. He fought like a man possessed, taking the heavyweight champion's best punches and delivering some of his own. And in the 10th round, he knocked out Iron Mike. It was a shocking loss that had everyone's jaws dropping to the floor. Tyson was dethroned, and it was a huge blow to his ego and his career. It's definitely one of the ugliest moments in his time as a boxer. But despite the ups and downs in his career, there's no denying that Mike Tyson's impact on the world of boxing is immense and still felt to this day. He was a game changer. The Tyson effect, as it's now known, is all about how Iron Mike changed the game for future boxers. First of all, let's talk about his raw power. Tyson had this ability to knock out opponents with just one punch. It was like he had a sledgehammer for a fist. And that kind of power is what inspired future boxers to focus on strength and conditioning. They saw what Tyson could do and thought, hey, if I can hit like that, I could would be unstoppable. But it wasn't just his physical abilities that made him a game changer. He had a mental toughness that was unmatched. He had this way of getting into his opponent's head and throwing them off their game. He was confident, cocky even, and it worked for him. And that kind of mental fortitude is something that future boxers try to emulate to this day. And let's not forget about Tyson's showmanship. He was larger than life with his tattoos, his crazy outfits, and his ferocious demeanor. He was a spectacle, a superstar, and he knew it. And that kind of showmanship is something that today's trainees have taken to heart. They know that to make it in this sport, you've got to have a personality. You've got to be able to draw a crowd. In fact, Tyson's image has been used in a bunch of movies, shows, and games, and it's always a big deal when he pops up. He's appeared in a bunch of films, often playing himself. He showed up in the Hangover series.
Oh, Lord! Oh, jeez! Oh, fuck! Oh! Why did you do that?
Playing a crazier version of himself, and also showed up in Ip Man 3 for an epic fight scene against Donnie Yen. He's been in TV shows too, like Law & Order SUV, and he even has his own show called Mike Tyson Mysteries, where he's a cartoon version of himself solving weird mysteries.
What are you doing? If he's not gonna take down that negative report, then we're gonna do it for him.
And in games, Tyson's all over the place. He's in classic games like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for the NES, and he's also in Fight Night and WWE 13. You can even hang out with him in Grand Theft Auto 4. Overall, Tyson's the man. He's a legend in the ring and a legend in pop culture. But even though he may seem loved all over, he's always had a complicated relationship with the public. When he got convicted of rape in 1992, Tyson was sentenced to 6 years in prison, but was released on parole in 1995 after serving 3 years. This incident resulted in a significant loss of public support for the man and damaged his reputation as a boxer and public figure. This guy's a living legend, but he's also boxing's ultimate anti-hero. People have always been fascinated by him, even if they don't necessarily like him. And that's the thing about Tyson's relationship with the public. It's complicated. Love him or hate him. Let's face it, Iron Mike Tyson is an absolute legend. But what happens when the legend starts to fade? Well, that's where YouTube creators and new fans come in. He's also inspiring a whole new generation of creators. He's a sensation on the platform, with loads of creators making videos about him, from analyzing his boxing style to reacting to his fights. And it's not just boxing channels either. All kinds of creators are getting in on the action. He's got a whole new fan base now. Younger folks who maybe didn't get to see him in his prime are discovering him through YouTube and social media, and they're falling in love with the champ all over again.
Troy, you got a joint? Yeah, let these niggas smoke some more, man.
We're gonna be done for the rest of the day.
I guess it's an off day.
My day's off.
The whole office just gets fucking stoned.
It's wild to think that a dude who's been retired from boxing for years is still so relevant. But that's the power of Mike Tyson and his legacy. And that's all on Mike Tyson's impact on boxing and pop culture.